Hello again. On an earlier video, I talked about something that we call boondocking. Boondocking, or being in the boondocks, refers to being somewhere remote. When I was a child, it would have been somewhere without a phone, out in the woods. That's what the boonies would have been, out in the boondocks. As a matter of fact, that term's been around so long. I grew up in central Iowa, not far from the town of Williams, Iowa, where back in the day they had a truck stop called Boondocks USA. So I'm very familiar with that term. What does it mean to be boondocking when we are in a travel trailer? And I'm going to talk about a travel trailer. I'm not going to talk about fifth wheel. It's very similar, or a motorhome. Those are a little bit different. So I'm just going to talk about a travel trailer and what it means for me. You might notice the electrical cord here that I have out the back of my travel trailer. This is a 30 amp plug. In the United States of America, this is what a 30 amp, 120 volt, 60 hertz connector looks like. And shore power, I think that term came from the marine industry, from boating. They can plug their boats in sometimes on the shore. We call it electrical hookup at a campsite. And that looks like this. So here on the side of my house, I've got a 30 amp, 120 volt connector. So if you want to call it electrical, or if you want to call it shore power, whatever, that's fine for me. But let's say, for example, that I'm somewhere remote, say in Yellowstone, one of the national parks, the Badlands, Belfouche, out in the Gila Desert, where I can camp without electrical. Now you might say, why would you want to do that? I like to do that because it's beautiful, and oftentimes it's free or half price. For example, I can camp in the Painted Petroglyphs National Park or National Monument for $4 a night out in the desert. I don't have electric. I can camp at Belfouche, which is Devil's Tower, for $12 a night. I can be in the Badlands for $14 a night. When am I going to do that? Well, I'm not going to do it in July or August in the US, probably not even in June. But heading down to Florida in April, March and April, I'm able to do it. Heading down to Arizona in March or April, or going west in, say, September or October. There are places in the United States that I can camp without having to plug in, and I can be comfortable. So let's look at what works and what does not work when you're boondocking. You might notice my slide. It's not out. Let's see if I can get the slide out when I'm boondocking. So let's envision that I'm in a national park right now. I'm backed in, I'm disconnected. Well, I come in with water, and I can hold 50 gallons of water. 2 people, my wife and I, can easily shower and use the restroom. If we conserve, we can last probably 4 nights in a national park on that type of water, that volume of water. This is my water heater. It can run either on 120 volts with an electric element here to heat the water, or if I'm boondocking and don't have access to electrical power to heat this element, I have propane. So this is a feature, a water heater, a water heater. I can use that when I'm boondocking. That's great. I'll connect that later. My refrigerator can operate either on propane with 12 volt control power from my house batteries, or it can operate on 120 volts to heat the element. This is ammonia refrigeration. Ammonia is a great refrigerant. It's not a freon, but it makes a wonderful refrigerant if you apply a little heat to it. So that can be a little tiny pilot light, which is inside of this venting, or it can be an electric element to heat the ammonia. So when I'm boondocking, I can have hot water and I can have a refrigerator freezer, no problem. Try to pop that back in here gracefully, not dropping it. Come back and hook that up later. I guess I could twist them one hand. On the front of the trailer, you'll see that I have dual propane tanks under here. They're the big ones. I have large propane tanks. I feed off of them one at a time right now. The one that's on the feed is, I think the arrow is over here on this one. Yeah, there's the arrow. This one's being used right now. This one is full, and when this one empties, I switch and then have it filled. Not a big deal. It's very convenient. Works very well. I have dual house batteries. You might say, well, what happens if you run out of 12-volt power in the national parks? Normally, you can run a generator. And you ask, well, what kind of a generator do I have? I have a 496 cubic inch V8 generator, and I back close enough to plug this cord into this receptacle, and within 2 hours, I can have my house batteries recharged. It's a piece of cake, right? So let's go on in the trailer and let's see what we can operate while we're boondocking. We just got back from about a 3-week trip, and hey, it's kind of dark in here. Do the lights work? Oh yeah, the lights work just fine. How about the bathroom lights? Yep, bathroom lights work just fine. I'm just on battery power. Okay, well, what if I want water to flow? Will the pump work? Yes, the pump is always 12 volts. So it will come on and it will run. The water heater, the electrical switch is outside. If I want propane water heat, I hit this one and it will light it. You can see the lights work. We've got hot water. We've got shower, we can use the sinks, the bathroom, the shower, whatever we want to do. Let's see if the slide will come out with 12-volt power. I'll push it here. Okay. Now I don't have time to get into the inverter converter, but the slide motor is always going to be 12 volts. The water pump is always going to be a 12-volt pump motor. So I have an electrical panel, a distribution system, that not only has 120-volt breakers, it has 12-volt automotive type fuses also. So with that particular distribution center, we're able to operate all these systems as needed. However, do I have power at the outlets? I do not. So my space heater is going to be inoperable when I'm boondocking. This is a 120-volt space heater to a 120-volt outlet. I'm not going to have power there when I'm boondocking. How about the light on the range hood? Yeah, it works. How about the fan? Yep, fan works. How about the propane stove? Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be able to cook on the stovetop. You're going to be able to bake a pizza if you want to. Do I have carbon monoxide detection? Yes. Do I have propane detection? Yes. So the safeties work. How about my refrigerator freezer? This is in the stored position, and you want to leave this open for sure when you store it, because this will start to smell if you close it tightly. So there are little snaps here from the manufacturer so that even when you go to close it, if you push these out with this little lever here, you can't close it all the way. You don't want to have it closed. But do I have refrigerator freezer when I'm boondocking? Yes, I do. If I push this button, which is the on button, it's going to glow green, and then it's going to turn amber, because at the moment I'm boondocking. You might have heard a click. It lights a pilot light, which causes the ammonia to flow, setting up a low pressure and a high pressure system for the refrigeration. If it's solid red, you have a problem. Check gas if solid red. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off because I don't want it to run actually right now. I have refrigerator, freezer. Do I have a microwave? No. Can't use your microwave if you're boondocking, unless you want to bring a generator, a 120 volt generator. I don't bring that along. Television? No, but you might say, well, what is this red light? This red light is a digital and an RF TV booster signal that can help you receive local channels wherever you're staying. All right? So my point is, during certain parts of the year, my wife and I can go into a national park, camp cheaply. I mean, I'm kind of cheap. $4 a night, $10 a night, $14 a night, $12 a night. It's wonderful. You can be surrounded by nature at Yellowstone and some wonderful places, and we don't need an air conditioner. Oh yeah, that's right. Let's talk about the air conditioner. It's ducted, and it also has vents here. Can I run it? Can I run the fan? Well, let's find out. Fan on, nothing. Okay. Cooling, turn it down, no cooling. Oops. So you better make sure when you are boondocking that you boondock when the weather is cool. Now, I don't winter camp. I never am going to winter camp in this trailer. It is not set up to do that, even if it were set up to do that with heated holding tanks and thick insulation and a Four Seasons camper. No way, because you'll burn through so much propane. I don't want to camp in the winter. I actually like winter, staying home, not driving, staying in my house, moving the snow when it needs to be moved. I'm not a winter camper. So if you are, good for you. I don't want to camp in the winter. I just want to camp when it's nice. I don't even like summer camping unless I'm way north where it's cooler. All right, so my space heater cannot work when I'm boondocking. Does my furnace work? Let's find out. Let's turn this down, the temperature. We'll switch to heat. And now we'll say in the middle of the night, I get cold, and when I am boondocking, I set this pretty low, say 62 degrees. But of course, it's warm today in Iowa, so I'm going to crank this up, and we'll see if the furnace works when you're boondocking. Well, darn it, it's over 90 in here. So it does come on. Bummer. I wanted to illustrate that to you. It actually will run without electrical power. So I'm a little bit without 120 volts. It's a 12 volt blower motor with a 12 volt control system with the HVAC. It actually will run. It just got so hot in here before I got my filming done. So sorry about that. But anyway, the heat will run, and it's ducted in the floor. So you can stay warm on those cold desert nights in April in Arizona or South Dakota. Well, South Dakota in April, no, you wouldn't go there. But in Arizona, you could be. And I have been down there in March and April. And the furnace works just fine when you're boondocking. So I hope that covers all the systems. If you have any questions, let me know. Boondocking, it's remote camping without shore power or 120 volt electricity. You're living on house batteries. But everything in here can give you very comfortable fall camping and very comfortable spring camping in certain regions of the United States, in national parks, in free city parks, in free county parks. So, use it as needed, but I wouldn't do it year round because I don't like the heat. I like to be cool. So I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know.